Just for you, Jeff. First position, baby. Here we go. Come on. That note on the ditto. What's happening, everybody? Happy Sunday night. Man, it's been too long. Been dealing with some stuff. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to catch up with you on this. Also, I got a couple ideas. We're going to do a studio walkthrough soon, and I'm going to call Tyler after this, my incredible tour manager, and say, where is our Delaware live stuff? Because we've got some footage that he's putting together for you from when we were on the road. And speaking of the road, going back out on the road in just a few weeks here. Hopefully the the Omicron will keep going the right direction to keep everybody safe. But yeah, we will be playing some clubs. We got South by Southwest shows, some schools, no meet and greets, but working through March with Kelsey and Aaron and Tyler on the tour and Ryan on the management, and we're going back out. So today, big up to the driving force of this thing to a great degree, Mr. Chief Justice Jason Coger down in SDCA. Here's a great quote from the Chief. He said, "Sometimes the coolest stuff is found when we're doing things the wrong way, which kind of makes you wonder what wrong really means." Folks, we're going to talk about happy accidents today. As you can see, my fretless bass playing is kind of a happy accident at the moment. I used to play bass all the time, and I've let my chops wane a little bit. But you can see how new this one is. I still got my magic Fender sticker in. I think that thing's like $400. Thank you, Sweetwater. Incredible. But yeah, that was kind of a happy accident. I was just taking the pedal board apart and putting it back together. And I came up with a little thing. I took some notes. I did some homework for you this time. Let me tell you some happy accidents that I've run into over the years. What we're getting at here, folks, of course, there's always the psychological, crazy, deeper level that I'm always trying to find with you fine folks. What we're getting at here is just, if it sounds good, it is good, and that it's okay to go down some roads sometimes that aren't necessarily the safest roads. And also, I've talked about it 100 times, as long as you're doing the work, you're going to run into stuff. And being open, getting out of our own ways, being open enough to accept things that maybe seem wrong at first, but might be, I don't necessarily say the universe telling us, but those accidents kind of saying, hey, I'm going to shake you out of your normal way of doing things. Listen up, here's a gift. So I used to have, I remember hearing a story that Eric Johnson could actually tell what type of battery was in his distortion pedal. He could tell if it was Energizer or Duracell. All I could think is how miserable it would be to be on tour with that incredible of an ear. But the idea was, and I freaking worship Eric Johnson. He's actually playing a week before we're playing at the Wave in Wichita coming up here on the 12th. And then Jason Isbell's playing like a month later. It's like the Wave is, whoo, we're sandwiched in between a couple of my heroes. But the thing is, sometimes when pedals are like about to go out, they do really, really messed up things. And I had a distortion, but I think it was an old Tube Screamer, and the pedal was the battery was just about to die. And I recorded all the guitar parts. It's a song from a long time ago called "And So It Goes." But that crushed up guitar this is kind of pre-Jack White, so it was before MXR made the blue box, and before there was all these ways of, before Logic and Pro Tools, and before everything had all these bit crushers and things. But that accident, that hearing a guitar almost coming apart at the seams was such an incredible moment for me to hear it just, it was almost like, I'll give you one, in television, baby, Tron, Deadly Disc. It was just like when the disc gets crushed, it just goes, it just breaks into pieces. That like really turned me on. I've been chasing that sound forever. There is a song on one of the new records we just put out. It's a track called "Devil on My Trail." And it's off of a thing called Mayday. That has that blue box on it. And that, if you look that up, that's that sound of me trying to emulate that old busted 9-volt battery back in Kansas when I was a little dude. So let me see, countless wrong tunings I come across. You pick up a guitar and you forget it's in a weird tuning. You play a chord, and because all the strings are shifting to a different place, you might land on a chord you wouldn't have necessarily thought of. We've talked about that in a bunch of these, using different tunings. That's a great happy accident. Every time I play piano is a happy accident because I'm terrible. I should have listened to my mother and stuck with her when she was trying to teach me. Instead, I had to run off and get something portable and play my drums and rebel. Oh, here's a fun one. I should have had this guitar out tonight. I have a Telecaster, a Fender, where there's some kind of, the wiring was wrong. And when you're in the first position, it sounds like everything's going through a telephone. And what was really cool about it was I came up with this little riff on a song called Home Is Where You Are. Let's see if I can remember this thing. It was, that sound was even thinner than that. It was like, well, we opened the song on the record with that screwed up pickup, and then live when I click into the, it's like the whole stage just lifts up a level. So, I mean, they make pedals that'll do that. You can get those EQ pedals that'll like drain everything out and kind of do like a low pass filter. But it was really cool because it was, in writing that song, having that screwed up sound sort of helped write the song. A couple more things I jotted down for you beautiful people. Okay. Here's something I found really fun for anybody. I'm a Logic nerd, so I've used Logic. GarageBand's the same. You could do this in any software program. You do it with Pro Tools. What I'll do sometimes, so I don't fall into, okay, here's my great settings for drums, and here's my great sounding 12-string, and here's the way I like my vocals to sound. If I'm really trying to get out of my own way and try something new, I will actually load up a template and then just screw up a few of the channels. I'll just throw in a bunch of weird effects. I'll throw in a few sounds I never used. I'll just line them up that way and then move things around just as a jumping off point. Obviously, if it's, when I'm doing singer-songwriter stuff, it's me and a guitar at the desk just getting lost. But if I'm trying to find new sounds and things, and that's a dangerous gambit, because sometimes if you're going after the effects before you're going after the song, you're probably, the cart and the horse are a reverse there. But when I'm trying to just get get something new going in the studio, there's something to be said for trying a really messed up channel strip and running something through it. Maybe it just sort of breaks the monotony and gets you in a different place. One more. I had a record out forever ago called Angel Devil, and there's a lot of things on it that I would change, but the one thing that was probably drum wise, it was probably some of the best like acoustic drums that I've ever recorded. It was in Fort Collins, Colorado, and it was the craziest thing. And big up to Chris Cecil that fixed these. But I had these Drummer 1960s, and I didn't realize what was happening was the tubes had got like, I don't know enough about this stuff. I think they were unbiased. But anyway, the thing had got screwed up. But it was putting this incredible, cool, glowy, harmonic, high frequency into the microphones. And the drums on that record, I've been chasing those drums for 15 years. It'll never sound that way because I fixed them. And I fixed the machines, what was wrong, I fixed the drummers. But before the drummers were like going out, they just did this incredible, it's like a star that's about to burn out and it gets really bright at the end. They just did this really cool thing. And thankfully I got a record's worth of material off of those before they went down for the dirt nap. So folks, just be really open to things breaking, being in different tunings, just thinking about things differently. A lot of times lo-fi is not necessarily, lower class. I mean, sometimes having things that are going wrong can be the most interesting, cool thing in the world. Everything perfect and what's the quote? I'm trying to think of who said it. Glossy surfaces reflect more than they reveal. Glossy surfaces reflect more than they reveal. And I think people want to know what you're giving them. They want to hear something a little different. I mean, Jack White's been a perfect example of this. Just, sounds where... Actually, here's another one. I heard of John Cougar Mellencamp. I was never like we all know Jack and Dan, we know the hits. He's become such an incredible songwriter over the years. He had this thing, it might have been Charlie Rose. I heard this interview, and he was talking about never lose the living room. Actually, it was Mark Maron. He said, never lose the living room. And it was the idea, like Motown records, man, if the vocals right and the drums are right, you're already like 90% there. And so getting a little grit and funk and things in there and some things that are dirty, not everybody wants everything perfect. There's types of music and genres that you do want everything pristine. But in rock and roll, probably that's the last thing that we want. So those happy accidents are a real blessing. I remember Rick Rubin had said that he doesn't even remember what the gear was on a lot of the records, or sometimes the gear that wasn't the best. If the band had the heart and soul and they were using everything they had, those are the best. Those are the best records. One more, I remember I listened to this interview, Glen Ballard, who did Alanis Morissette's records. And Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill sold, I think it was 25 million records. It was one of the all-time selling solo records ever. And it was done on 2 blackface ADATs. For any of you studio nerds like me, I mean, things that once they were used, you could buy for $500,000. They were like 16-bit. And he said the greatest quote. I tell all my friends this quote when we're having nervous breakdowns and trying to work on stuff. 90% of what we care about, maybe 10% of the public hears. And that's such a good thing to remember so much. And I think this is like all the things in here, we talk about music. I think a lot of them apply to life, and life applies to music, and it's all one thing. Trying to all get better, trying to do better. So much of our lives are things that we worry about. Mark Twain said, my life has been filled with tragedy, some that even happened. We just are so good at extrapolating all the possibilities. And that's probably from trying to stay alive as humans. Like at one point, the woolly mammoth ate somebody, but like, where's the danger? Where's the danger? It's like, man, a lot of times we're making our own monsters here. I think getting in a place where, if things aren't working, we can go, okay, I'm going to step away. And also, maybe there's something around the corner that isn't exactly how we thought it was going to be, but it might be even better. It might be a little bit of a gift. So again, I preach, I don't practice. I need to practice, but staying open to these mistakes can be a really great thing. So one more thing on Mellencamp real quick, and I'll let y'all go about your YouTube surfing. He said there was I think it was a New York Times interview or review of one of his last couple of records, and God, some of the lyrics on these records, love or hate him, man, as a lyricist, he's getting up there, and this is crazy to say, but he's getting up there, and there's lines that are that Dylan, Cohen, Tom Waits, just timeless beauty. And I think it was the New York Times, they said that obviously rock and roll is falling out of fashion for many, many years. I think the Grammys had you know, back in the day, tens of millions of people, and it was like 8 million last year. And there hasn't been a Grammy for rock and roll for a long time. I'm going to do a little guitar corner about guitars in hip hop and what wonderful uses of guitars there are in hip hop. But in general, you know, rock and roll hasn't been the dominant cultural force in a long time. But there's a very interesting thing that they said in this review, and it was that when people get a little bit older and they stop caring about the market, there's a lot of rebellion there. When, you know, Willie's made these records, David Bowie made a beautiful record about death, Black Star. Man, some of my favorite Johnny Cash stuff was at Rick Rubin, American Recordings at the end. When Johnny Cash was just wanting to do what his soul was singing, not worried about the record companies or the Nashville labels that only put out 5,000 of his records when he was in his 50s. When he gave up on worrying about fame or any of that and just did the work, what came out was some of the most, I mean, it was so full of fire. It's unbelievable, and it's subtle, but it's was it Bob Dylan said in Chronicles, hurling horses over the cliff, just going for it. And there's actually, if you look at teenagers that have said, I'm sick of society, I'm sick of this crap, I'm rebelling, and the music they listen to, which right now you have a lot of hip hop. There's some pop, but I know a lot of teenagers I talk to when we play the high schools, man, they don't want to see somebody's pancakes on Instagram. They don't want to see the new way to use makeup. They're actually looking for depth and meaning. They're going through a crisis. They're going through everything changing, and they're going through picking up this world with all of its madness. And a lot of the things that young people are going through, and a lot of the things that people who are getting a little older and don't care about the marketplace, they care about trying to leave something on this planet, there's actually a lot of similarities. I know this has nothing to do with happy accidents, but it reminds me of something my manager told me once. I called him up and I said, Ryan, and it's actually a record that's coming out here in a little bit. It's called 99 Rebellions. And I said, man, I got 2 songs on this record that are in 6/8, or maybe it's 3 songs. I said, man, we can't have this many songs with 6/8. And he's like, Goody, listen to me. You know how many people care about the time signature of the song? Nobody cares. Rip it. And his idea was just, as long as it was a really live record, as long as we were doing what our hearts, you know, desired, as long as we were playing really live and getting the tones down, all this other stuff we fool ourselves with doesn't matter. It was really about just completely being ourselves. And so I don't remember exactly what that quote was, but the New York Times was saying rock and roll might find its own footing again in people who don't, it's almost a gift that rock and roll is out of fashion, because maybe we'll talk about things that matter. There's such a lack of depth. There's such a lack of meaning, a lack of protest in so much pop music. And I'm not trying to be the dude with the cane saying, you gotta talk about this. But I mean, I've always gravitated and loved artists who gave a shit. And it just feels like there's just so many things that are status and so many things that are chasing. And I've done it. Believe me, I've done it. But I think once we actually are free from that, we might create something that lives a little bit longer than us, or at least affects somebody in a way that matters and gives them something, a little bit more important than what we ate for breakfast. So anyway, I'm all over the place here. Quick show and tell. My man Carter got me this really cool set of postcards it's every state. And I'm going to give you just right off the cut where the states I've lived in. California, Los Angeles, Colorado, big up to Fort Collins, Kansas, Wichita, coming out to you on March 12th. Michigan, born in Detroit, actually Ypsi, so outside of Detroit. Tennessee, where I'm at right now, Nashville, baby. And honorary mention for my incredible freaking much better half, Rack Daniels, Montana. I guess I'm only showing you these because I've been going through these and I just can't tell you how much I've missed touring. We got to be safe. We got to do it right. But I cannot wait to hit the road. Every one of those little cards I haven't been to every state. Haven't made it to Hawaii and Alaska. But these things brought me so much joy. So thank you, Carter, man. Okay, I'm right under 20 minutes. I hope y'all got something out of this. Let me know. Chief, thank you for driving this thing and your incredible ideas. I'll see y'all much sooner than this last round. Okay, 10-4. Bye.